Hello and welcome to another edition of the Andrew Eborn Show. I'm delighted that we have the return of Martin Cox. How are you, Martin?
I'm good, mate. You good?
I'm very good. And I'll tell you what, since you were last here, so many people have written in to say how incredibly brave and how incredibly inspiring your last little chat with me was. How do you feel?
Well, funny thing is that I met up with somebody, a friend of ours, afterwards, and we discussed it, and I got some nice messages on Facebook from close friends. So that was really nice. I think, really, it was very interesting and very. I can't even say the words now, but I think it helped me a lot by just letting all that out. And it was interesting, and a few people were surprised that I'd thought about. I thought about it, and the friend said he'd thought about it, that he'd never do it. So it was quite interesting in that, and I think it might have brought me closer to some people, which is quite nice.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
talk. I mean, specifically, as you say, thought about it. You talk about suicidal thoughts and things like that.
yeah.
In your
So
darkest moment, in your darkest
yeah,
moment.
so it's very interesting because I like to analyze things. I'm very analytical in that in the sense that if something's said to me or something happens, I tend to go away. I don't tend to react straight away, or I do. I act in a how I think at the time, but then I'll go away and I'll sit and I'll think about it and I'll think about both sides of the situation or the story, and then I make another decision. And really, I should just go. I shouldn't jump straight in and go, oh, I should do what I do afterwards, which is go away, think about it, and then make a decision. Because I've been involved in a couple of things where I've made that decision straight away, and then afterwards sort of regretted that decision because I thought about the other person, the other side of the story, and analysed why that is, or what happened there. Because I mean, I'd put it in the fact that when someone says, "Oh, he was like if the guy next door murders somebody," all the neighbours always go, "Oh, he was such a nice guy. He was such a lovely guy." And you think about, well, why didn't they recognise it? Why didn't they see it? Or someone's partner's done something, and they all go, "Oh, they must have known." And I don't think that's particularly true. People have affairs, and the other half never knows about it, and unless they catch them or unless they find out another way. So you don't. I, yeah. So I do think in that respect. So when things happen to people, um, and you react straight away, I don't think you should. You should try and look at it from both sides. And I've always tried to been like that. I do react straight away to some things, and then afterwards think, oh no, maybe I shouldn't have reacted like that. I maybe
And it's a common theme that we have on this show is that I always say that reality and perception are so often
yeah,
aligned and people will assume all sorts of things about all sorts of people. And we talked last time about very famous people and what happens behind closed doors. People say, oh, that's shocking. They didn't come across like that. The reality is that people are like onions. They're layered, aren't they? And there'll be
yeah,
good days and bad days. And the most jovial of people, the people who are the most extrovert and out there and think they're always happy, they're normally the ones who are tortured inside, aren't they?
yeah. I mean, I was talking to someone some time ago about perfect, what I would consider to be a perfect murder, how I would commit a perfect murder, and they said, I can't believe you thought about that. And I just thought, well, yeah, I don't, yeah, because that's how I'd do it. If I had to, if I had to kill somebody or I wanted to, this is the process I'd go through.
So,
I
so
don't know whether.
I have to ask Martin, because
Oh,
you'd be screaming at me otherwise. Is that what is that process? And look, this is not an inspiration to anybody, but
yeah,
what,
that's what I mean. I might give this away.
I know, don't want to give it away. But what? Well, look, just so we can eliminate it, and when this
All
happens,
right,
it doesn't
okay.
happen.
So this happens to anybody.
Go on then.
It's my idea.
Yeah.
So I want the credit. So what you do is you befriend that person, and you go to their house for coffee and stuff or whatever, and you go and have lunch with them at the house. You must be in their house, because so that your fingerprints are in their house anyway, because you're friends with them, even though deep down you want to kill them. And then what you do is you go, oh, do you mind if I check my emails on your laptop? And while they're out making a cup of tea, you go onto the internet and you do searches for suicide. You do suicide searches, and you link onto a chat room, and you find a chat room, and you do all these things about I'm thinking about it and stuff like that. This is awful, isn't it? Really thinking about it. So you do that, and you do that a couple of times over a few weeks. Because it's best to plan it properly. This is watching too many of
Colombo.
Columbos. And then what you do is, and then when you decide to do it, you go around again for coffee and stuff, and then you make it look like suicide, whichever method you want to do, drown them in the bath, or whatever. And then when the police say, go, oh yeah, I've had a lot of coffees with them. They've been really down and depressed and talking about it for a long time. And when they go search on their laptop, all the evidence is there that they've looked it up and different methods and stuff like that. And I think that would work. Also, you could go, oh, I've won a cruise, and take them with you on the cruise as a friend, and then just push them over the back. Because the thing about going on cruise ships, that if someone goes over the back of the boat, they get pulled underneath, and the propellers get them. So, and you don't survive very long. So you can just give them a quick shove, make sure that you're not in line with the camera, and give them a quick shove over the back of the boat, and then just go back to your cabin and act as normal. And oh well, I went to bed. I don't know where they went. And then it'll be, oh yeah, no, they did talk about committing suicide. They must have done it off the back of the ship. So,
a few of those sort of things, a vivid imagination, but what it does raise is that when people hear and they instantly assume, and it's happened in the press a lot, they've assumed that something is suicide, or they've assumed that something's happened in a particular way. What you have shown is that there are alternative explanations. So the common theme would be you should question everything. Firstly, hope that they never get in that position. People need support, do that. If you're thinking of murdering somebody, Martin is not a recipe to how to do it.
It's just stupid. I mean, I write stuff. I mean, I wrote stuff about a man who won the lottery but didn't want to tell anybody, so he didn't tell his wife, he didn't tell his family, he wasn't happy in his job. So he bought himself a little flat away from home and just pretended to go to work every day, and changed his job, told his wife he'd got a new job, and just went and stayed in his flat all day, watched TV, and went out. And he met a guy while he was out, and the guy invited him. The guy was making a film, and he invited him to on set, and he went. And one of the extras hadn't turned up. The barman hadn't turned up. So he said to him, "Look, you're here. Just pretend to be." So he agreed, and he ended up. And this thing got picked up, and it became a series, and he became the barman in this series, and everybody kept commenting, "You look really like the barman in this successful series." And the story goes that all his friends keep saying you could become his lookalike. And it all escalates from there, and it ends up that he has to kill off the actor, because he becomes an actor, and he has to kill that actor off so that he can go back to just being himself, and hiding out in his flat because that's what he wants to do. He didn't want to tell anybody he won the lottery because he didn't want begging letters, and he didn't want his family to get all like, because what money does to you, if you've got a lot of money, can destroy you or destroy your family.
So do you do? I mean, a lot of these stories, Mark. You're right. And when you look at some of the fantastic Columbo series, there's always those wonderful twists. And I remember there's one episode where there was a magician in a Columbo who committed. I won't spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but sometimes tricks can go wrong. And
I like that. I like the way you've linked that. That's very good.
see what we did there. And you did mention last time we spoke. We spoke after the fantastic interview that you did last time, and you said, look, one of the great things about having the opportunity of coming on this show is that you can set the record straight about a number of things. And you said to me, it would be great, because a lot of people have speculated and it's been subject of all sorts of things, about a particular trick that went wrong.
Yeah.
Tell us what happened.
Okay, so it's interesting that happened, and then what happened afterwards. And that's maybe really what I want to talk about afterwards. But I'll give you the setup of what actually happened, because then it'll put it in context. So I was a member of I'm a member of some local magic clubs, and I was at one of those one night, and I was due to perform, and I'd forgotten a prop, the smash and stab prop that I owned. I was going to do that. I have a very funny routine I had written for this particular prop, and I didn't have it. It wasn't in the car. And a friend of mine who was at the same event happened to have his in his car. So he said, "You can use mine."
For those people, Martin, who are not familiar, I mean, because there are lots of people who are not magicians, surprisingly.
Yeah, sure.
Explain what the effect should be.
So the effect is that you have 4 discs with wooden discs, and one of the discs has a spike on it, and you put polystyrene cups on over the discs, mix the discs up, or get someone to mix the disc up, and then you smash down, and the object of the mind game is to guess which one hasn't got the spike.
So it's a prediction in a way, but it's also mind control. It's a sort of just chance routine in terms of they select which one, and the jeopardy is that if it goes wrong, you can get injured.
You can, and there's been many different versions out there. This is supposed to be one of those versions that's almost foolproof, and I proved it's not. But there is reasons why it didn't work. So that's the premise. And what happened was, just before I was going to go on, another guy at the club said to me, "Oh, Martin, I've got one of these shock pens, electric shock pens, that you give someone a pen and they click it and it gives them an electric shock." And personally, I don't like that. I don't like that particular thing. But he gave it to me. He said, "Could you use it in your act?" Because he got some for sale, so I put that in my pocket, and as I'm trying to think what I can do with this, and this idea pops into my head. So I come out and I, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen," and I take the pen out, and I take a piece of card, and I'll give it to someone in the front, and I say, "Write your favourite swear word on there." And as they go there, they went, "Oh!" And I went, "No, don't say it out loud, just write." Okay, so that was the joke. It worked really well. He got a great laugh. He sold a lot of pens, so he's very happy. So we come to this part of the show, and I have some great gags for it. So I get one person up to mix up the discs on the table. I'm forward on the stage. They're behind me, so I can't see where the spike goes. Okay, so I can't see where the spike goes, and then I get someone else up to help me, and I hover their hand over the cups, and I push their hand down on the cups. That's my thing. So I'm doing it with someone else's hand because I'm not stupid. It's the joke. It's what the joke is. And I had some great. If it goes wrong, don't worry. You can't eat Maltesers anymore. So I have all that thing going on. And what actually happened is, after they were mixed, I turned around to move the table back slightly because it's too far forward. And I look down and I get it. I get exactly where it is. And in my head, it is third from the right. So in my head, oh, there it is, third from the right. I know exactly where it is. So when I go around the other side of the table and I bring the person up, it's not third from the right anymore. It's second. It's the other way. So because I got it when I moved the table forward, I didn't double check it when I went around the other side. Change your orientation. And because I'm really hyper, I'm really like flared up because the joke went well that I'd just written, and we were really having a good time. Everybody's laughing. I'm having a great time. And so I got the person and bang the first cup, bang the second cup. And the mistake I made, and this is something that if anybody goes out and buys this particular version, the mistake is do not push the discs off the table, which is what I did. So bang, bang, and then the disc went. So I'm with 2 cups. Now I look down to double check. And because it's someone else's set, I know my set really well. I don't know their set really well. I couldn't remember which way you tell, because without explaining how you tell what it is.
You were using your magical abilities. Let's put it there. Using your magical abilities.
So the idea is that I hover the hand over the spiked one, and then as I go 1, 2, 3, I change it to the one without the spike. So I'm hovering over, and I'm not getting the same response that I normally get because the person who mixed them up normally knows. So I'm hovering over the non-spike one, and they're looking at me, and I'm thinking, well, they're not reacting like I expect them to react, which is be a bit shocked. But so I do the, and obviously when I change and boom, that's where the spike. So the spike went into their hand, and I lift their hand up because they scream, obviously. Ah! So I lift their hand up, and I look down, and there's no disc. And I think to myself, where's the disc? That's what I'm thinking. Where's the disc gone? And then I turn round, and the disc is hanging out of their hand. So I pull the disc out, and they do this, and someone rushes up. There was a guy who's a paramedic at the time, rushes up, looks, and decides to take them to hospital. So I'm standing there, and I walk forward, and I say to the audience, sometimes trips go wrong, and tonight this one went wrong. And I go like this, and they clapped. They clapped. So they went off to hospital. I'm just stunned. And I sit back down, and I'm just sitting there, just shocked, really, in my own mind. Anyway, sort of later on in the evening, they come back to the show. So they've come back. They haven't gone home. They've come back. And the hospital had put a little plaster on their hand, little tiny plaster on their hand, and suggested that they go back tomorrow for a tetanus shot. Sorry, I keep looking over here, Andrew, because the monitor's there and that's where you are. So I've got to keep remembering to look this way. So they've got a little plaster and they've got to go for a shot. So they basically the doctor, whoever examined the person, said that there's no damage. It's just like having a little cut, really. But because it's metal, it's better to have a tetanus shot. So they have a little plaster. Later on in the evening in that show, someone else gets up and does the finger chopper. And they think it's very funny to pull me up. So I go up, I put my finger in the finger chopper, and they think it's funny to get the person I've stabbed in the hand to come up and do the business. And that's what happened. And it was a reasonable evening. I was quite stunned and shocked. I got home, trying to analyse obviously what went wrong and stuff, and realising what I did wrong, which was remove the disc, not double check, and stuff like that. But that trick then got put away, not to be done again. And the funny thing is that about 2 days later, I got this phone call. Evidently, the story had gone across the world, more or less instantly across the world, that this had happened. And I get a phone call from a very famous magician. He hadn't hit the big time then, but he's very famous now. And a friend, because we'd worked together a couple of times, rung me to ask if I was all right, which is really, really nice and really thing. It's that thing that, you know, when your wife has a baby, everybody asks the wife if she's all right, but they don't ask the husband how he feels. And so that really surprised me, to ask if I was all right. And then people thought I was a complete idiot and a moron and whatever stigma that comes with that. And the joke, this joke, the trick got banned from many clubs. The Magic Circle banned it, they banned it. Some clubs in the States banned it. No one's allowed to do it in magic clubs. So that's probably a good thing. And then a TV company decided to make this show called When Tricks Go Wrong. And it was filmed. The trick was filmed. They decided to make this show. And the person who owned the video at the time had contacted me and said, you're going to get a call from these producers asking your permission to, asking your permission to use it in the show. So I get the call and I say to them, can you give me a couple of minutes? Let me think about it. Call me back in an hour. And I put the phone down and I called a very good friend who's no longer with us, unfortunately, Patty Sinclair. I don't know if you remember Patty. I phoned Patty and asked her what the legality is of it all. Should I sell it? Should I not sell it? And the guy, my friend who videoed it, told me what he would like to sell it to them because they bought it off of him. The person it happened to would like me to let them use it because they're going to get their chance to go on TV and give their side of the story. And they gave me an opportunity to go on and give my side of the story, but I didn't want to do that. So Patty gave me these 3 scenarios that I could do. One, I could say no, and that would be the end of it. 2, I could say, yeah, okay, but I need these certain things. Assurances. And one of the assurances, because they claimed they could show it anyway. And she said, no, they can't because it was shot in a private club and it was your act. So they can't, it's not general public. If it's in the general public and someone shot it in general public, then it's fine, but it's not. So when they called me back, I said, well, these are my criteria. One, I thought, I suppose it's a thought in your head that, do I want to lose these friendships by saying no? This was the thought that went through my head. Do I want to lose these 2 people as friends because I say no and I'll give them opportunity to make some money? And I've said no. But if I ask for these things and they use it, then at least I'm safeguarded in this respect. So one of the things was that to blur my face. The second thing they had to do was not use my name. That was the 2 major things. I did ask if they'd distort my voice a bit, but they didn't do that. Also, I said that I wanted it in writing and in the contract that this clip cannot be used singularly as a clip. It can only be used in the entirety of the whole show. So if anybody wants to lift that clip and use it, they can't. And that was in there. And then they told me how much these 2 people were getting, and
how much was that?
I think they were getting 300.
£300 each. And how much were you getting?
I got 6.
600 quid.
because Patty advised me to ask for double whatever they were getting. That's what she told me to do. And she said two things. One, there's no such thing as bad publicity. There is. And I have to decide whether I want to finish that friendship. And also, the person that this happened to, if I say no, they could go down a route of maybe trying to sue me. I don't know whether they would have won the case or not. These days, they probably would have done. When this happened, they probably wouldn't have done. They might have done, but I had evidence of them coming back. I had evidence of them doing a show the next day, so there was no damage at all. It was just like having a very small cut. So that's where I was. And it was shown. It was shown on national TV, on Channel 4, showed it. It was called When Tricks Go Wrong. They blurred my face. They didn't use my name. The person said that I never apologised by sending them chocolates or flowers. And there's a reason for that, and the reason for that is admitting guilt. Okay. So if I'd sent her, it was a lady. If I'd sent her chocolates and flowers to say sorry, it was my mistake. Then if she wanted to sue me, that would have been, well, look, you sent her chocolates and flowers to buy her off, to say that, to admit your guilt. So many years ago, I was advised never to say sorry by sending somebody something, because that is an admission of guilt. So that's why I didn't. But I did apologise a lot, especially on that night and afterwards. And I am devastated. I was devastated. What followed after that is lots of gags, lots of people done jokes to me personally, and stuff. And that went on for years, and it really hurts. Really, really, really hurts, because no one will let it go. No one let it go. Let's put it that way. And then it got put on YouTube as a clip. Well, under the contract that I have, under the copyright I have, and under the contract, it can't be shown as a clip. It can only be shown in. So if you wanted to use the clip, you have to show the whole show to use this as a clip. So every time it pops up on YouTube, which it has done over the years, we're pretty on it. I'm on it, and the person who owns the videotape, the footage, is on it. We contact Facebook straight away, and they take it down straight away. A couple of magicians have tried to use it. Let's say have tried to use it in their show when they're doing a similar thing to show it going wrong. But because it can't be shown in a clip, they can't use that piece. So what we do is we contact their agent or whoever and say, look, this is under we have a contract, it's under copyright, you can't show it. So it gets taken out of the show. One of a very famous magician actually sent us free tickets to their show to say sorry. They used it in the preview of their show, and someone contacted me and said, "Oh, did you know so-and-so's using your?"
Which magician was that?
It was Darren Brown. He was going to use it in his show, and we contacted Darren and Darren, to put it right, and said that it's under this copyright. And he was very lovely about it and very understanding, and sent me and free tickets to one of his stage shows, and we went and saw the show. It's great. It's a good show. A couple of magicians, one magician used it on a cruise ship, was using it on a cruise ship, and someone actually rang me to ask if it was me, because they recognised the style and the way it was taught. And I went,
just to be consistent, Martin, who was that? Who was using it on the cruise ship?
It's the twins. You know, the magic twins. So we contacted them, and they said, we're not using it. And we said that if we find out you are using it, then we have to go down, because they'll get sued by 3 different people. They get sued by me, they get sued by the guy who runs the videotape, and they get sued by the TV company. Now, me and the other guy haven't got the money to sue anybody, but the TV company has. So, you know, that is enough. Dan Sparry was going to use it in his show, and I told him personally, because I know him, I told him about that he can't, so that came out straight away. And Banachek was going to use it, and when I told him, I told him it was me and stuff, and told him that piece, he decided not to use it. So there you go. And I've had lots of stick over the years, and I became a bit of a laughing stock, really, over it. It didn't help my career at all, I don't think. I did get offered to go to Australia to do something off the back of it, which was quite funny, but it never panned out. And I think that was for me to go over there and we could just take the mickey out of me. So it was one of those things. So it's a long time ago, a very long time ago.
Just before we go, because we seem to have disappeared from it, we're going to take a quick break, Martin, and then we're going to come back and find out about what's happened since that time, and also how the victim is